Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you build a Lego city regardless of the space you have. This is part 2 of building a MOC from start to finish, the mini house. In the first video, we built the first part of this mini house, and that's the ground floor. If you haven't, do check out that video in the card above or on the link below. The instructions for this particular original mini house are also available for a free download. Just head on over to smallbrickcity.com or follow the link in the description as well, and you can request for free building instructions for this particular model. But in this second part of the video, we'll explore how to build the second floor and the roof. Here we go. This is a modular style building. That means all levels and the roof can be removed because lower levels are covered at the top edges with these tiles and studs that basically holds the levels in place. And so you need basically a floor for the upper level, which will rest on the lower level like this. And the great thing about this footprint of 8 by 8, you can just use a square plate to act as the floor, and that's very convenient, nothing to put together. And the great thing about putting the stairs on the outside as well is you do not need to create a stairwell or hole into the floor. So this is really convenient. This will form the floor of our second floor, and we can build it up from there. So the first thing we need to take note of is the placement of the staircase, and therefore that affects the position of our door. So I've got the door over here, and naturally the door is going to come all the way to this edge over here, and that will allow me to open the door so that minifig can go in and out. In the previous video, I mentioned why there's no railing all the way to this side, and that's so that the door can clear, but there's this foot guard so that the minifig will not fall off. So that's the reason for that. So once we know the position of this particular door, just like the bottom floor, we can create a lower layer of bricks. And let's do that now using not the masonry bricks, but we will use these log bricks. Of course, you're free to use whatever bricks you want, but let's do that right now. So we have here the log bricks to form the lower level or the most bottom level layer of the brickwork. And just like the ground floor, I do want to add another layer of plate, and I'll use dark gray once again, and I've got them over here. But one thing I need to take note of, and I need to bring it back over here to the first floor, and that is to look at this pipe clips. So these are clips for a vertical pipe that I'll lay in just a bit. And if I put this here, I need to make sure that there's a clip in line with these clips. So I'll do that now. I'll take this dark gray modified plate with a clip, and I will make sure it's in line by placing it here. So my pipe would then run vertically from the bottom floor to the top floor. So that works great. So I can put that aside and I can concentrate on laying the gray plates right now. So we've got the lower level of the gray plates done. What I want to do now is to figure out where I want to place the different windows. So if I look at this layout, because this second floor is going to be the living quarters. The ground floor was the kitchen. This is going to be the living quarters. There will need to be a bed as well as a toilet and hopefully a shower. So I've got my bed here and I pre-made it. It's pretty small. It's basically 5 studs long and just 2 studs wide. Very simple bed. And I have to place it here. In this case, there's not much space to go. I do want to have a toilet, so I know the toilet will never face the door. So I will place this right here. That will allow me to put the toilet somewhere here and the shower as well. Therefore, if I'm going to put windows, I will not put any windows on this side, maybe only higher up. I can have some windows here if I want, and nice windows here by the bed, and maybe some windows here as well, as long as they don't look into the toilet. Okay, so let's have a look at what sort of windows we can create. So I'm going to use these windows over here. And for the ones right here by the bed, I think we can do this. I need to fill this empty space over here with the 1x1 stud. And let's see if I can even put 3. Maybe I could do something like, yeah, let's do this. So we've got a bunch of windows like this this actually forms almost an entire wall. So we save on bricks as well. So that's what we'll do. We're going to have this over here. That looks good. And we will have the windows on the opposite side, but I'll put them higher because this is going to be a toilet and these are all going to be bricks. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to add one layer of bricks all the way across. So I've got one layer of brick. There are two things I have to think about now. I want to use a modified brick over here, and that's because I'm going to put a tap piece over here like that, and this will hold my tap piece, which will then allow me to connect my drainage pipe. So that makes sense, and then I would then need to build up this area like that and build up the rest of the area as well. One thing I like to do is just to add in a bit of texture, so I'm using these 1x2 masonry bricks, and I'll probably use another one on the other side. Okay, now if I look at this here, I need to remove this layer of brick in order to put these windows so that they'll be of the right height. So I need one more window right here. And now as I look at this, I can kind of see how things are going. You see, this is where my bed will be. My toilet is going to be on the other side, so I'm going to have a privacy wall over here, and I'm going to just use probably a panel piece. And my shower is going to be over this side, which means that I need to have some kind of taps. So I'm going to build taps into this wall over here. And remember, I always talk about the minifig scale. So bring a minifig and figure out where the tap should be. So the tap should be somewhere around here. They can't be too high. And the reason I'm putting them on the wall is so that it saves space. So I will use a piece like this. This is a 1x2 bracket piece, and I've got studs green and red to represent hot and cold water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build it into the wall. So I'm going to pop this off, and I think this would be the right height. Again, yep, that's the perfect minifig height, obviously on the other side. So this goes over here like that, and that works out very well. I'll need a 1 by something stud to cover this hole, and then I will build up the rest of the portion. Alternatively, I could just build this part up like that with two 1x2 plates, and then I could put a 1x1 brick over here, and that would level up everything as well. And then I'll use a 1x4 brick to hold everything in place, and we're back in business. And this will allow me to just build up over here. Let's build up this layer over here, and I'll just use these bricks. But what I want to do for this part over here is to add in a modified brick, and that is so that I can put in a drawing or a painting or a clock. Let's put it on this side over here, so we can put a 1x3 here and a 1x4, and therefore I can take a painting and I can hang it here, and that works. So we've got everything level, which is the goal. Every time we build a building, you want to make sure that all sides are level, and this allows you then to take a layer of plates to hold everything in place. And this is always very important. I always think that this layer of plate underneath the tiles for a modular building is very important. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to use some light gray plates. But one thing I'm going to do is to also use a modified plate with an open-ended bar elements like this, and I'm going to put it above here first, because this is going to act as my shower head, or the bracket for the shower head. So I'll put this in place first, and then I'm going to use regular plates all around. So here we have the plate all in place, so that works great. Remember, I talked about this bracket, that's for a shower head, which I'm using a modified clip, or this is a towel with a clip element, and that's a stud underneath, and that will clip over here, and this forms the shower. So that looks great. What I need to do now is to think about the interior, how I want to do the tiling. And now after I build it up, I get a good idea of where I'm going to place stuff, and generally especially for small builds like this, that we need to break it apart again in order to access the inside. So what I'm going to do now is to look for a privacy wall as well as the toilet and get some parts for the tiling. So I've removed one side of this wall so that I can access the interior. Here's the shower. Remember, this is where I'm going to put my toilet. I've got my toilet over here. This is the back. And this is the toilet bowl itself. So we've got the flush, the toilet paper, and the toilet bowl. So my bed is going to be over here. So that leaves me two studs. So what I'm going to do is add a privacy wall, and that'll be in the form of this panel piece. Put a towel on top, and I'm also going to put a plate underneath because I wanted the same height as the tiles we're going to add on in just a bit. So that's my privacy wall. I think that works. So what I want to do is tile up this area before I put in this wall. Since this is a shower, it makes sense that all these pieces over here should not be tiles, but we should put grills like that, so it acts like a drainage system and just something to stand on so it's not so slippery for a shower. So that goes there. Over here we can put a bunch of tiles. So what we're going to do is we're going to tile up this area here, and the first thing I have to remember is I'm putting in the bed, so I do need a plate to hold in the bed. So I'm going to use a 1x2 plate that I have over here, and that will be used to hold my bed in place. And I'm going to use a bunch of these 1x1 tiles to create a patterned floor tiling. And there we have all the tiling in place. This gives a nice little pattern. So I can put the privacy wall back inside. I can place the bed onto the studs over here. And we have the interior done. All I need to do is add all these windows back, and we can build the rest of the second floor. The next step for the second floor is to put tiles and jumpers, which I'm going to do over here. This is the same as the ground floor, but I'll be using white tiles and a plate instead. And here we have all tiled up with studs. So the final part of this build is to put the roof together. The roof follows the same concept as a upper floor, and basically you just need some kind of plate to act as the floor of the roof. In this case, I'll use this white plate, and I'm going to build upon this roof. Instead of using a straight or flat roof, I'm going to do a sloped roof, and I'm going to use various sloped pieces like this. But first, I'm going to create a support core using a couple of bricks like that. This allows me to build up, and I'll show you what I mean. And let's just put this together, and I'm using a combination of gray or red, dark red, as well as brown slope pieces, and this is just to give texture. And it's always nice to use more than one color when you're building something. It just adds a bit of variety to the build. I'll keep this side all red, and you can see this is the first layer, and that's why you need the core. This allows me now to build on top of this, so the support. And just like that, we have the structure of the roof done. It's a very solid piece. All I need to do is just tile this, and you don't have to do this. I just like to cover studs so that it appears more finished and gives a more polished look. But there you have it. That is the roof. Very easy, and that can go on top just like that. And here we have the assembled mini house. The roof is in place, 2 floors together. One thing I did change from earlier is basically I put in this 1x2 masonry brick because I mentioned earlier I wanted it on the other side, just for some visual variety. These are the large windows by the bed, and nothing over here, and windows higher up over here because this is the bathroom. There's one last thing in order to complete this mini house, and that is to complete this drainage pipes over here. And for that we need several parts. I've got a tap element which I'll put in to the modified brick over here, and for the main long pipe I'll use these lightsaber hilts as well as an antenna part. Just join them together, and the key is to place them in such a way and create the right height such that the end of the pipe is just about the separation point of the 2 levels. For this top pipe, I'm going to put it in and make sure it meets that tap element. so everything looks continuous, and when I put everything together, it looks like one continuous pipe even though they separate with the levels. There you have it. This is building a MOC from start to finish, the LEGO mini house. Remember, if you want building instructions for this particular build as well as parts lists, just head on over to smallbrickcity.com or follow the link in the description. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel and be sure to check out these two videos before you go.